Okay, so in this video we're going to have a look at the coordinate plane. So the plane is a way of displaying points, and then in turn from that we get lines, line segments, slopes, rays, and so on. There's a lot of options there. So the coordinate plane is split into 4 sections, or we can call them quadrants. So the first quadrant, second, third, and then the fourth. So it starts up here and it moves in an anti-clockwise direction. If you're in junior cert, you don't need to worry about quadrants. They're not that relevant. If you're in leaving cert, quadrants will become important when we're dealing with the circle. And then in trigonometry, the unit circle. So if we look in this first section, moving right and left, so along the horizontal line, that's what we call the x-axis. And then moving up and down vertically is our y-axis. Very important when we're reading a point or drawing a point or anything like that, we read the x value first and then we read the y value. So if we're to have a look at the point A here, you start at your point and move down to meet the x-axis. So we get 2, and you always open a point with a bracket, you put a comma between them, and then we move across and we get 2 again. And close your bracket, and always rounded brackets signifies it's a point. Then if we look at B here, so we go down to the x-axis first and we get -2, and we come across to the y-axis and we get 2. If we have a look at C, go up to the x-axis, we get -2, and we go across to the y-axis, we get -2. And then my point D, up to the x-axis and we get 2, and across over to the y-axis and we get -2. Okay, so we can see if we're in the first quadrant, for my point, my x and y values are positive. If we're in the second quadrant, we have a negative x value because we have 0 in the center here. This is what I call the origin, and the coordinates of the origin will be 0, 0. So my x values are going to be negative, but my y values are still positive. If we drop down to Q3, or the third quadrant, we see we have a negative x value because we're over here, and we also have a negative y value because we've moved below 0. And then for the fourth quadrant, or Q4, we have a positive x value, and then we have a negative y value. Okay, so now if we look at our point E, we notice here it's on the x-axis and it's right on 3. And if we go to move over to the y-axis, we just get 0. So that's a very important fact to remember for both junior cert and leaving cert. For a point on the x-axis, the y value is always 0. So then when we talk about a line crossing the x-axis, for that equation of the line, we know the y value is going to equal 0. And if we have a look at F over here, x value first gives me -4. We see we don't go up and down. My y value is just 0. Then to have a look at G, here's G. For the x value, we don't go out right or left. We stay where we are. So it's 0. And we're on 3, so my y value is 3. And then for H, -1 for the y value, and my x value, we haven't gone right or left, it's just stayed on the line. So it's 0, -1. So these two here were on the x-axis, and these two here were on the y-axis. And when we're on the x-axis, my y value equals 0. And we can see there, that's what happened. And when we're on the y-axis, my x value equals 0. And if we have a look there, that's what happened. Okay, so there's the coordinate plane. The most important thing, as always, is you read your x value first, your y value second. You put rounded brackets for the point and a comma between the two coordinates. So we have an x coordinate and a y coordinate. Okay, and that's us done.